Good morning. My name is Samah Ali, and I am the programmer for the Black Femme Supremacy Film Festival. Today is day 2 of our virtual weekend together, and we are here for the Q&A of Defining Femme block, available for you to watch today or tomorrow on Seed and Spark. Before we get into the Q&A, I would like to take some time and acknowledge the land we gather on. Black Femme Supremacy is hosted on the unceded land of the Piscataway, Lumbee, and Cherokee people. We organize on the ancestral homeland of the Piscataway people, now known as the present-day Baltimore. We wish to pay our respects to the elders, past and present citizens of the Cedarville Band of Piscataway Conoy, the Piscataway Indian Nation, and the Piscataway Conoy tribe. We strive to hold space and value the perspectives of these nations as they share their regarding histories, cultures, and traditions. As we build community with sovereign nations to ensure reconciliation on their rightful land, we encourage our attendees to learn more about the Piscataway by going to piscatawayindians.com, which is spelled Piscataway, Indians.com. For some housekeeping rules today, I will ask a few questions to the filmmakers, and then we will allow the audience, our live audience, to jump in and ask your questions. You can do so just using the Facebook comment section, or if you are on YouTube, the comment section. Without further ado, I would like to toss it to the folks who are present in our proverbial room today. I will ask the filmmakers to introduce themselves and the films that they are representing. Zanah, why don't you start us off?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Zanah. I'm one of 2 producers, and I'm also the writer, director, editor, and one of the actresses in MeMaw.
Awesome. Aisha.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aisha. I'm representing Breathe Neefso, and I'm the writer-director of the film.
Thank you. Charmaine.
Hi there. My name is Charmaine Bingwa, and I am the writer-director of In the Shadows, and I also appear in the cast.
Thank you. Camila.
Hi, everybody. My name is Camila Hepplin. I'm the writer, director, and producer of Facão, Machete.
Perfect. Aaliyah.
Hi, I'm Aaliyah. I'm the writer and producer of Mamas, and I'm also in the cast.
Amazing. Eric.
Hi, my name is Eric Cotten. I am the writer-director of Tori and one of the producers.
Beautiful. And last but not least, Anna.
Hi, I'm Ana Paula Teixeira, and I'm the writer-director of Divina Gracia / Divine Grace.
Beautiful. Thank you all so much for being here today. It is such an honor. One of the beautiful things of our virtual festival is that we can have folks from all over the world attend this festival. We have folks from Australia, Brazil, and Puerto Rico. Of course, we have folks from mainland USA, and then also myself. I'm currently in Canada right now. So it's a beautiful way for us to kind of celebrate what COVID has done to bring us together. I will get into some questions, and then as I mentioned, we can get into your lovely questions at the end. Firstly, to all of the filmmakers present, everyone's films deal with relationships that are either broken or grounding for your characters. Why was it important for you to capture the nuances of feminine intimacy with their partners, friends, and mothers? I'll start with Anna first.
Wow. Well, for Divina Gracia, the femme gaze was ultimately the story because it is a love letter to Yemaya, who is a mother in the Yoruba religion. So having all these different femmes in the main character's life, like her house mother, she's also in a voguing ballroom house in Puerto Rico, and then having her spiritual mothers, it was the most essential part of that film and capturing that perspective. There was no other way to go around it. because of all the different femmes in their lives.
It was a very beautiful film, and I hope everybody gets a chance to watch Divina Gracia. Camila, let's jump to you.
Well, the relationship of my main characters is probably the most different one from the other films we watched, because it's about friendship and trust someone that hurt and scared you at first and has no history whatsoever. The reason why this relationship existed was because Pietra saw an opportunity to change someone. She knows the power of change someone through art, and we all know because it's why we make films. And she saw the real Machete, the real him. So she just wanted to change him and bring to the world a good person.
Eric, I'll go to you. Talk to us about the relationship between Tori and her partner.
So Tori was inspired by a series of events that happened at a Christmas party. We hosted the party, but a number of the couples who attended the party talked about their relationships in a very casual format. And what I realized was that even though they were individually striving for success, they really had lost touch with their partners and their partner's life goal. Lisa, the lead actress in the movie, and I talked about this concept, and we pushed the envelope a little bit to examine one couple. The lead character, Tori, is a very successful security expert, world-renowned, and very content in her life. But part of her contentment is the fact that her husband gives her complete freedom to do whatever she wants. The conflict arises because she has cameras installed in her house. Then she realized that maybe her husband isn't the person that she thinks he is. And the story goes from there. So it's the internal looking at your life, the quality of your life, and what you put into your life.
Thanks, Eric. I definitely felt that in your film. Let's go to you, Charmaine, because your film was definitely tension and longing.
Yeah, I really did enjoy leaning into that. And I think for me, I think we get to learn about ourselves through relationships. And in my film, I think the lead character is really suffering from a disconnection from herself. So she's in the throes of addiction. And for me, with regard to the feminine intimacy, I really believe that there's something really integral about the mother relationship. I think most films treat it narratively like it is home. So it was kind of like a journey of her reconnecting through the mother to find her way back home.
Mm-hmm. I want to kind of stick on the mother's theme and throw to Aaliyah. Let's talk about mamas.
For sure, yeah. I think it's definitely a huge learning lesson and look on how you learn from your mothers and grandmothers and the women in your life on how to be intimate with the people around you and care for those people around you through death, grief, and different emotions that you're feeling, how to care for each other through those. So those are definitely lessons learned from, mothers.
Mm-hmm. And you have a lot of love happening in the comment section as well. So a lot of divine feminine energy happening over here. Let's stick with the moms. We have a lot of it. Let's go to MeMaw. Zanah, talk to us about that feminine intimacy with your character and grandma.
Yeah. Well, April, more lovingly known as MeMaw, was literally the center of Jesse's world. She was there for all of her milestones, whether that's getting braces, a driver's license, high school graduation, college graduation, her wedding. She was the first person that she told when she found out she was pregnant. And that bond that they have, the story is really centered around capturing as much as she could for her future daughter so that she could also share some of that relationship with her, because the entire film really does center around Jesse's relationship to MeMaw.
Mm-hmm. I said this in our little green room, folks, but I was in tears when I was watching MeMaw. I was an emotional wreck, and I'll have you know that I'm double Aquarius, Moon, and Rising, and so Emotions don't come to me easy, and I was a mess. So thank you to that film. Aisha, let's talk about your film, Neefso, Breathe, also about friendship, the friendship intimacy.
Yes. Yeah, with the more I reflect on the film, I realized like I wanted to intentionally depict the different levels of friendship I have, like with my mother, but as well as with my friends. And I made sure to include like, the character Raha, she has with her friends as well as her cousins, because I feel like my cousins were the my first like understanding of what like feminine friendships were. So I wanted to make sure we had all those layers in depicting the support system of the character during her anxiety attack.
And it was on her birthday.
Yeah, which is, sometimes things do creep up on those like milestone events, and which I'm learning now is very true with every birthday. It's always like, you're constantly reflecting, and sometimes like that can be interrupted by certain things. Yeah.
I'm going to stay with you, Aisha, and go to my second question. Obviously, you talked a lot about friendships and the intimacy of friendships. So what does chosen family mean to you? And also, what does chosen family mean to your character?
Chosen family is, I feel like it's such an honor and a blessing in life to be able to, be intentional about the people you want, because, you have your biological family, but it's really great that you can find the needs that aren't met in that way through your friends. So for me, like chosen family is like my lifeline, and it's a great honor and something that requires work, and it's a mutual like effort and love. And I'm deeply appreciative for the people in my life. And I always think of like Neefso as like a hybrid doc, because it's like based on a true life event to myself. So I definitely I wanted to mimic that with the character. And ideally depicting what that looked like on that day for her, and how it was for me.
It was tangible, and I'm sure we've talked about the score and how the score of the film, you already know what's happening, and so I commend you on that.
Yeah.
Anna, I want to go to you. Oh, sorry, Aisha, continue.
No, it's okay. I was just gonna say, like the score is like heavily like influenced by my friend Zanah Thirus, that was also like the editor and the sound mixer and like the score soundscape designer. So I really want to make sure I mention her input in crafting that.
Yeah. Even the dog shouting them out.
Yeah. Love the credits.
Anna, the same question for you. What does chosen family mean to you, and then also for your character?
Yeah, well, Divina Gracia was really something I wrote with. I was in Baltimore at the time I was writing the script, and I was heading back to Puerto Rico, and I was really like graduating film school and trying to place the script in a way that was reflecting how I found my friends in like the queer community and like the LGBTQ, but also understanding like non-binary identities, but also being raised in a very like I would say it's like divine in a sense, like being in Puerto Rico and understanding how culturally that reflected into my queerness, but also my friends, because I was inspired by Gabby Grace, who acted as Lourdes in Divina Gracia. So that is the biggest example of like chosen family and how that reflected onto the film, because the main actress, who is a non-binary Black femme, and it reflected onto like how her experience brought magic into my life and brought me to this house of grace, who I'm now a member of that house. I knew the house mother, Maria Jose, and I knew Gabby, and Maria Jose is also in the film as the house mother.
I think the COVID Wi-Fi bugs have been infiltrating the session. Anna, are you stable now? I think we just missed the last part.
Oh, yeah. I was just saying that it was kind of like reality meets fiction in the way of like my chosen family was my house family, and I had curated this film together, but it was really capturing what the house already was, and the magic, and yeah, it's just, it reflects in the character fictionally and my real life experience making that film.
I'm glad that you were able to capture that organic
Mhm.
relationship from your house and the feelings that you have to the
And from
story that
my,
you created.
yeah, and from my godmother too. That's also another way of like chosen family. Like my madrina acted as Yemaya, or the botanica owner, and she was also adopted into House of Grace as like the house madrina. So that's also another side of the different chosen families that the universe has granted me.
It's beautiful. I want to switch gears a little and get to Tori. Eric, just as you mentioned at the top of the film, at the top of the panel, your film deals with a lot of kind of like betrayal meets tension meets violence, and I'm wondering, how did you end up coming to make Tori? And you talked about your inspiration, but what more did you bring and Lisa brought to the table?
So in developing Tori, Lisa and I had worked on a couple of projects together, and she wanted, as she described, a meteor project. Being an actress of a certain age, just always being offered roles of the curvy girlfriend, the unfaithful wife, the emotionally unstable character. So I wanted to go 180 and present a character who was incredibly intelligent, incredibly strong, very analytical, and all of her tension was internal, and her reaction to her external environment was an internal reaction. In terms of shooting it, we wanted to make her look amazingly beautiful, but her environment very challenging. So I worked with my DP, Seth, and we tried to make her world a cocoon that she controlled, but was challenged by at the same time. And in the final couple minutes, when she gets in bed with her husband, all of that reaches a crescendo. So that's sort of what we were going for.
I definitely it just builds throughout the entire film, and you're just sitting there like there's just so much to say. Like, say it, Tori. And it's I think that your film is an excellent example of what it actually looks like to make a film that has so much internal monologue that you see the character processing, but never actually comes to say it when they want to say it. And they're so brilliant.
Exactly. We talked to Lisa about what she would want to do in terms of dialogue and how she would present these moments. And she just threw her hands up and she was like, I wouldn't know what to say. And I said, great, then act it out. Let us see it through your actions, not your words. And let the audience feel your pain and suffering and take the journey with you. There's a scene in the movie where she goes to her bedroom and her issue is the security camera. She looks up at the camera and she sort of mockingly does what she feels a loving relationship looks like. So she literally walks over to the bed and hugs the air because in her mind, she would like that type of relationship with her husband. We didn't need dialogue for that. We just needed the audience to see that from her.
Oh, look at Aaliyah, your family's all over the place. We love this. We love this. Definitely watch the film. It's going to be available all weekend. So make sure you watch the Defining Femme block. I'm going to switch over to the Mother's Discourse. Charmaine, Zanah, and Aaliyah, get ready. I'm coming for y'all. I want to talk about your characters' relationships with their mothers and or grandmothers, and then perhaps influences that you took from your own personal relationships that you brought into your film. So Charmaine, let's start with you.
Yeah, sure. So the mother is kind of a central character, the central kind of manifestation of the problems that the main character faces. Obviously, there's been some disconnection, and then it's very apparent that her past is entering her present. And I think that's kind of universal for a lot of different relationships. And I think people often have complicated relationships with their, parents or whatever. But I think there's such places of nourishment for us that I kind of, even though my film is like deeply tense and deeply traumatic, I kind of wanted to illustrate how healing and what a home base that relationship can be, which I think, obviously draws on parts of my personal life and things as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, your film has like a proverbial motherhood where you see the mother, but it's through glimpses of memory compared to being, like, a tangible figure.
Yeah, and we also wanted I wanted elements of like Mother Nature to be that as well. Like when you start to cross into an environment that's no longer this industrial, desolate place, and you start to get trees and sun and stuff like that, because I think that also has like quite healing mother properties as well.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool. And the dog agrees as well. Look at that. We have a fan.
Great.
Whoever's dog that is, they're definitely a fan of this vlog.
That's the Santurce dogs.
I love it. Zanah, I want to toss to you. Talk to us about the relationship. Obviously, you mentioned Jessie and MeMaw, and then maybe perhaps where that was coming from your life.
Yeah, I wrote MeMaw at 2:00 in the morning one day because my grandpa actually said something that inspired the script. My cousin had just had her first daughter, and he said, I never thought that I would live long enough to see my great-grandchild. And it just really dawned on me that we, especially, when you're kids, you have this idea that your grandparents are like immortal, that they will be here forever. And in incorporating that into the script, when there was such a reality check, when MeMaw found out that she was sick and that she only had so much time left, Jessie was like, I need to create something so that my daughter can also experience my grandma in the way that I experienced it. And even though that was such a heavy part of the film, I also wanted to showcase a lot of what my relationship with my grandparents was like. It was always bliss. We always had the best time. They were always at every graduation. They're always at every milestone. Grandparents were there. Nana was there. Granny was there. Grandpa, Papa was there. Like, everybody was always there. And so I definitely wanted to incorporate that in the script, but also have that juxtaposition of the reality that this isn't going to be forever. And what are we going to do to kind of like hand that down and pass that down so that our children can also experience that in somewhat in the way that we did.
I could talk about your film enough. Like, I am just like so enthralled, so in love with your film.
Oh, thank you.
I kind of want to know more about, like, obviously you are the main character. You played the main character. And, we see you from like different parts of quote unquote Jessie's life, and like from the time they get their braces, and I'm like, are those real braces? Like, was this timed accordingly? And then like the first piercings, and I was like, did you take your piercings out for the first half of it? So talk to us about the actual like, filming process and how you staged those different life stages.
Yeah, this was one of the most complex scripts that I've ever produced. Directing it was not as complex as producing. Producing is, again, identifying all the elements within the scene and having to have so many wardrobe changes, having to have I had a really good second AD to really keep me sharp with this, and a really awesome EP on set as well. The younger Jessie was not me. This was a teenager that was literally, we looked the same. I was like, oh my gosh, like, exactly. So you brought her. And then for the pregnancy part, that was actually a silicone like bodysuit by a special effects artist. So I was not actually pregnant, but it looked like it. But I had my piercings in the whole time because I played the adult version of Jessie, and then the younger version actually did have braces.
Wow.
So yeah, so that wasn't me the whole time. But again, throughout the decades, making sure like this looked like the 90s, and making sure that this was like 2000s, and then making sure that this was like present day. It was a lot. It was a lot. I'm very shocked that we captured it all in 3 days, but
3 days.
Yeah.
All the directors like,
Or like,
Well, it's also because the entire film took place in 2 locations. I'm a micro budget producer, and that's one of the tricks that I have. Like, the majority of the film centered around MeMaw's house. So for the wedding scene, we didn't have an entire wedding party. We went to the backyard of the house that we were in. MeMaw's hospice scenes were upstairs in the room. The graduation part, instead of it being a ceremony, we'll just show you coming downstairs in your graduation cap and gown. Same place. That and the hospital were the only places that we actually filmed. So we were able to do 2 days at MeMaw's house with all of the scenes, whether it was outdoors or indoors, upstairs or downstairs, kitchen, living room, and then 1 day at the hospital.
wow.
Shout out. Honestly, this is why we have these Q&As, because we want to know about what the filmmakers were actually doing, how they came to their stories, their inspirations, and their process. And so this is a very colorful process. I can't wait for everybody to see all of the films in this block. Like, this is just a brilliant block. I'm very happy and privileged to be moderating for this one. Aaliyah, I see that you're back. Hi, and let's get into your question as well. What was the inspiration behind and perhaps influences of your personal life with the relationships between the generational motherhood that we saw in Mamas?
Yeah, for sure. I was definitely inspired by one of my great aunts, my Aunt Brenda. Mostly, I wrote this short after her husband passed away, and just seeing how women in our family come together intimately in times of need and comforting and taking care of each other. So it's definitely an homage to them, as well as lessons learned from my own mother and grandmother on, you know, how the women in our family are there for each other and take care for each other. So I'm definitely inspired by those family relationships and use tidbits of them in the photography shown throughout the film.
And talk to us about, you know, the casting process, because you had, you know, what was a mother and then a young child, and then, you know, we kind of like get a blackout screen, and then we see that young child who's now a mother, and then her child, and then at the end we get a beautiful glimpse of this generational look of motherhood and the influences of it.
Yeah, definitely. What was really fun is my niece played my daughter for my character. So that was really important to us, and just like a really lovely addition to the cast for that to be able to happen. Great friend that I had met on set, Victoria, played my mother. And so already having intimate relationships with the people that we were all acting with just allowed everything to flow more freely. So that was really awesome.
And how did Taja get involved?
So I met Taja. Actually, we went to the same art school in Savannah. She's a great DP. I love her work, and we've always been trying to work on something together, and just her style and how she focuses on color and the softness that she's able to do. She's really focused on the lighting and things like that. So she really resonated with the story, and she also directed it for me. And her eye just really focused on those intimate details that I wanted to portray.
I love it. I think, you know, when Nia was thinking about what the theme was this year, she was like, you know, words were like coming out of like intergenerational, and then she landed on legacy, and that was kind of what took off for the festival. And I think Mamas is a perfect example of that title. And if anything, all of the films in this block, and this is why it's the beginning of our Saturday for the short blocks, is that it really sets the tone for what we were trying to achieve this year for the festival. Folks, I have 15 minutes left of my personal questions, and then we'll get to the audience questions. So I do want to remind you, you can leave your comments on YouTube, on Facebook, and we can answer them just in a few short minutes, okay? I have another question for the filmmakers, and you know, it's on the theme of legacy. What does that word mean to you, and what did you consider when you were applying to our festival, how your film actually works really well with the title of legacy? Aisha, let's start with you.
Okay, yes. Well, it's interesting when I think of legacy. Sometimes I think of like material things, or like things that you inherit. And now I want to think of like non-tangible things that I've inherited and been transmitted through my family. And when thinking about this film for this festival, I hope it's part of like the canon of films about and for Somali women dealing with topics that, may be considered taboo. Um, yeah, I wanted to hopefully be a part of that and be part of that legacy of depicting like vulnerability on screen, as well as like, how like, and holistically depicting that and like how it looks and um, with like the multiple people in her life. And I know Neefso's like really, it's like only like a 3 to 4 minute film. So I know it's like not, it definitely could be expanded on, but I just at least wanted to provide something in that light. That was really true to me because, I wanted to make a film during this time because this film was actually made for a grant. And this story and what I was dealing with was so heavy in my heart that I had to show it. So I really hope that is like felt with when people watch it. Yeah.
Eric, what does legacy mean to you?
So legacy for me relates to a couple different things. One, it's the work that not only the film itself, but the filmmakers in the Baltimore community are trying to create. We're trying to establish ourselves as a hub for quality, really well-intentioned, positive images of people of color. So this film sort of addresses that in providing a really intimate look at one individual's struggle. In terms of the actual content of the film, I think it's important that we expand how we look at females of color and what impacts their lives. So I wanted to do something that was completely different. We could have approached a number of different topics, but I just wanted to reach that intimate moment of emotional crisis for this woman. And that's what we try to do. So.
Beautiful. Camila, legacy, what does it mean to you?
The importance of legacy is beyond what I can really comprehend. Like I said, about art changing lives, and legacy to me is create something that will outlive you and will continue its purpose for generations. And in my case, I want to create films that will have the same effect that the movies I watched growing up, that changed me and shaped me, and to shape me to who I am and still want to be.
Charmaine?
I guess for me, the best example of legacy is probably topical. I mean, it was a really sad week with the passing of Chadwick Boseman. And I think he just epitomizes what legacy means, which I think is making a contribution and leaving it behind for others to enjoy. And for me, with how that relates to my film is I think, I don't know, if I value kind of, instead of what people do, is like how things make me feel. And so my film, I just wanted it to be a tone poem and kind of like an emotional exploration. And, whether people love it or hate it, I wanted it to make them feel something. So I think legacy for me is kind of, from my interactions, how I make people feel and how the film is able to get inside here.
Anna?
For me, legacy, especially through Divina Gracia, is kind of just creating new history, or like the history that wasn't shown to especially Black and brown non-binary folks, that our identity is valid and has been existed, rooting back to our ancestors. So for me, it's just kind of like making sure that history is portrayed, but in a modern sense, and then even in a future sense, because legacy is like beyond the generations beyond us. So making sure that the true stories are being portrayed and are being put on this visual platform that we can really truly understand and feel represented with. So.
And I definitely, I think it's important for us to have spaces kind of like Black Femme Supremacy where we can have these conversations about what actually impacts us and the films that we make across the world. And so I appreciate all of you folks submitting your films to this festival, and it was important for us to feature it. So I thank you, and I also thank all the audience that are listening to this conversation, not only today, but also on YouTube after the fact. Aaliyah, what does legacy mean to you?
Definitely a tie-in of all of those things, being able to have something to pass down that means something to your family, that contributes to the stories being told throughout that family.
Mm-hmm. I can see that your family definitely agrees. And legacy definitely means something very important to your family as well. So I shout out to all the Currys that are in the room today. Zanah, I'll end off with you. What does legacy mean to you?
Just echoing everyone, that legacy is anything meaningful that you can pass down. For me, my films are my legacy. I aim to do films that really center around subjects like intersectional feminism and sexual assault awareness and local politics and things like that. I love activist-centered work, things that educate and also inspire. I also love pulling together entire teams of Black filmmakers to do my projects. And specifically with this film, it's funny because I feel like the video camera was like the main character of the film.
Definitely.
And that was the legacy that was passed down. It was a part of Jessie's life since she was a baby, and being able to pass that down to her daughter as well. And all of the memories that were a part of that were captured within that camera. In my film specifically, it is about legacy, but I think the video camera was the core piece of that.
With that being said, with the video camera and as I'm one of the main characters in your story, I actually kind of want to draw a through line to our closing night film. The program for Anatomy of Wings also has a film called Love Ava, and it's very similar to your film MeMaw, where you have a young girl who's actually being told, here's the camera, like learn and tell your story and tell your family story. And she kind of has this fun video, and then it turns into the feature Anatomy of Wings, where you see, very similar to your film, Zanah, young women growing into women in their own respects, who have their own colorful lives. And it's funny, when you program a film festival, you see certain things go across each program, and I'm appreciative that we have your film here for it to be one of those strings to tell the story of what legacy means for us here at Black Femme. I believe those are all of the questions that I have. I know we have some questions in the comment section, so we'll get to those right now. Please put all of your comments there. The first question we have is from April Curry. With the current racial climate, how important do you think the Black Femme movement is today? And I assume that this is for everybody because it's not directed to anyone. And so let's start with you, Zanah. You just ended us off, so why don't you begin us?
Sure. I think Black art is resistance. I definitely think that it's important that Black femmes are telling our own stories, especially now. And those stories are not told for us. I think that, our trauma is often broadcasted. And I really enjoy telling stories that have hope, that are light, that are joyous, that are meaningful in a number of ways. And again, being able to take hold of our own narratives is really important during this time, especially just because, again, so much of our trauma is being broadcasted, and having a voice in this discussion, continuously being able to tell our stories is really, really important.
Anyone else want to tackle this question?
I am a straight male. and I was put in touch with a trans sex worker to do a short doc. And on our first meeting, the person was extremely reluctant to go forward because in his mind, there's no reason for a straight man to be interested in that story. It was a wall created by them. And I essentially explained that it is the role of an artist to tell a story, regardless of the subject matter. You want to get to the essence of a story and tell the story the best way you can. My concerns, prejudices were not the issue. I'm open to working with anyone, and I think that members of the trans femme community or all communities need to sometimes let down their own walls and reach out to other people. We can help with financing, we can help with production, we can help with equipment, but your stories need to be told. And I, as a filmmaker, am open to that. So.
I can't hear you, Samah.
Wow. Listen, I'm on mute. A COVID struggle. Anyone else want to talk about this, the Black Femme movement today and how important it is in this racial climate? Any takers?
I'll just say that I think traditionally we've been defined in one way, and I think it's just like such a critical time for us to show just all facets of who we can be, and it's up to us to define ourselves. So I think, us artists have a great role to play right now.
A very important role.
Yeah.
Let's go to another question. How would the filmmakers describe Black femme film versus the film industry today? Who would like to take this? Perhaps the femme in the room.
I would love to take this.
Okay.
I am so very much so anti-film industry. Everything that I do, I'm passionate about two things. One is demystifying the micro-budget film process, and the other is telling activist-centered stories. And I think that the film industry is full of gatekeepers who feel like there is one table to sit at. And my goal is to empower as many filmmakers, especially Black femmes, to be able to tell their own stories, but also be able to do that by defining success for themselves. I've never spent more than $5,000 on a film, and I'm on my 16th film. And they are internationally distributed. They're on platforms like Quelly, Amazon Prime, Comcast. And it's really important. Again, I write scripts according to the resources I have available to me. I'm not writing a script that cost $1 million to make because I don't have $1 million. But I do know two of my friends that are DPs, and I have a house. And I know another friend that has a baby that wants to act. So I'm gonna like put those pieces together and get all my friends together and make a film. I learned how to edit from YouTube. I edited MeMaw. You know, it's about, and also you don't have to like go live in the most expensive places in the US. You don't have to go live in LA to be a filmmaker. You can be a filmmaker from anywhere. And there's filmmakers all over the world that are willing to collaborate and help you tell these stories. And the festival circuit is how you get your films out there as well. So I think it's really important that Black femmes don't look at the things that they don't have in the traditional Hollywood sense as barriers, but rather focus on what you do have and what you have available to you. And connecting with filmmakers at film festivals is a great way to build your film tribe. Also looking at independent films and going to the credits and then following the teams on social media. That's how I found a lot of my teams. And I've, again, met so many filmmakers at festivals who have become my DPs, who have become my editors, who have become my ACs, and creating your own path and forging your own path and defining what success is to you is so important in being successful. And a lot of times Hollywood, that's not something that you can do at Hollywood. You're waiting around for people to believe in you. You're waiting around for people to tell you that you're good enough. And it's a big competition, a gatekeeping competition. And so that's not who I am as a filmmaker. MeMaw was done for $850. And I will never spend more than $5,000 on a film. Like, I just won't do it. Because again, 3 days making films with my friends, like that's just, that's what I do. And that's what I believe in.
Well, Zanah, I mean, thank you so much for sharing. Like that was very I could really it's like it's such a great reminder, you know, because it's making me reflect on like Neefso and how like this film wouldn't have been made without my community and looking around the people around me that, you know, like, oh, it's not impossible to make something. Let's start small and like we'll get, you know, we'll get to where you want to get eventually in terms of just having like a decent budget just to pay people around you, you know. But yeah, you're totally right of just like creating with your community and recognizing like, you know, like yeah, the power and like the importance of that. And that's how like I don't know, I'm just this film definitely would not have been made without my community people around me. So
Yeah.
and on a micro budget and like I wouldn't have had the same heart, you know, and care if it wasn't, you know, by people that have similar. Yeah.
Yeah, I say this to filmmakers all the time. It's okay to have a job and still be a filmmaker. I've had a full-time job since I'm 16. I've never been a full-time filmmaker. But because I have a job that sustains me, I now have a small budget to put towards making films. And a lot of the filmmakers I work with, we have day jobs. Like we work and then we make films for fun. And that's okay. That's a legitimate way of being a filmmaker. So you may not have the money to pay for people to be on set for 2 days, but you may have the money to send it to 15 different film festivals. You may have the money to book a camera where everybody gets really awesome footage for their reel. You know, like there's ways to incentivize your productions within your film community and keep your team small and still make it a really incredible process for everybody that's a part of it. So there's no one way to be a filmmaker. And I think Black femmes really have to tap into your team, your community, your resources, and make films with people who love making films, who are in it for making money.
All right, we have another question. Can everyone talk about securing locations? Anna, I would love for you to answer this question. So you have quite a few locations. Same with you, Camila. Anna, can you hear?
Oh, yeah, now I can hear. I had to unplug and replug my headphones. And magically the dog stopped barking. Oh. Can you repeat? It's the same question as before.
Can you talk about
I wanted to
locations? Oh, if you would like to answer the other question, though, you're welcome.
Yeah, well, I can do.
You can do both.
I can do both. Yeah. I just wanted to like piggyback off just kind of like building your tribe, because I totally like feel like this last year, last year was when I really found people that I wanted to make films with, because I'm really like for the longest time I've been a writer, and for the last 4 years I got enough confidence to start directing. And Divina's kind of like my debut short film. And I realized that over, like, in terms of budget, I've worked with like only $200 budget, and never like 5,000. Like I'm on that same boat. And finding the people to make films with is like, compared to quality of equipment and then quality of the people around you, it's like the quality of the people around you 100%. Because the best times that I've been making projects, whether it's not short films or like music videos or like just like 1 minute videos, it's always been with like my family, like my queer family, my house family, writing with my madrina, because my madrina is an excellent writer and poet, and just kind of making those films here in Puerto Rico, which is like, we don't have an amazing like high budget Hollywood film scene, pero we have amazing narratives and amazing rich like culture that a lot of like American media has tried to capture, but they can't really get it right. They will like try to claim Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico is not theirs to claim. And I feel like with film, not just me, but other local filmmakers are really putting their stamp in like the filmmaking world, and it's coming out now, and it's super important for me, myself, and seeing my future, for me to find people that really care about getting these narratives portrayed cinematically. So definitely people over like high budget production, because there's high budget productions about Puerto Rico that just come out awful. It just come out in terms of really honest portrayals. It just comes out from a very outsider, non-empathetic perspective. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And
I'm glad you did say that.
I had to let out of my chest all the technical difficulties in my end being in the Caribbean.
Can you talk about your locations, how you secured it as well?
Yeah. For me, Divina was hard for me to find the botanica that would let me film because of the spiritual matters and what is allowed. And the biggest way that's like I can provide advice is how the space is making you feel and the owners of that space and what they're trying to like do, like in terms of I was talking about empathy and how you walk into a space and you know if it's great to film there or be in that space.
Totally.
La Botanica literally came up like the day before shooting because I was freaking out because this other Botanica I was gonna do like wasn't answering my phone calls, like dropped out of the blue. Every time I would go there it'd be closed and I'm like, we had this agreement, we had this whole agreement, what happened? And then I went through every Botanica on the Avenida Piñero, which is like this area in like San Juan. It's like a little bit off there, metro area. And I was just going down to every Botanica, and I walked in there, and this Botanica was owned by a queer Puerto Rican. I had no idea about it. He was an elder man. And I walked in with my madrina, and like she knew, and then I knew, and then I just had an amazing relationship with that owner, and I had just met him the day before, being like, can we film this here? And it's just about establishing relationships with like the people that own those spaces and knowing that this makes you feel good to film here, because you don't want to film somewhere where it's like they stand for something weird, like a restaurant has like an odd owner and then the restaurant will like flake out on you. I know it's like I'm talking in a sense of like energy and not like paperwork stuff, but that's but that's like my experience with like securing locations with Divina.
Thank you. Camila, what about you for securing locations? Because you were in a lot of places for your film.
Yes, one of the main locations we had was the Pietra's house, and we used the actress house. So while we were like having like a reading table, she said, "Oh, you can film that in my house," and her house was just the perfect location for it because you already had some of her of who she was, and she was kind of it was the perfect location to shoot the film, and we just had to add some stuff like about movies and create an environment, but it was like the perfect location. We filmed at the Federal University of Brazil too. We asked them to film in there some of the scenes, which is not in the movie, unfortunately. And also we had like a house that we wanted to be Machete's house, and we were looking at that was the hardest one to find. And finally, Thais, who is the producer of the film, we were like, let's go close to the university because we need to be like locations close to each other so we could like move fast to shoot another scene or anything else. And then we were looking, and she was like peeking at the house, and she said, "Oh, this house is perfect to shoot." And we like rang the bell, and we asked the person who was living there, Seu Lula, if we like could see his house, and we were looking for a small house, not very like a poor person house, and we were looking at his house. I said, your house is perfect," and he agreed, and he was really nice to us, understood the project, and he liked the movie, and he understood everything. He's like, "Yeah, you can shoot it here." So we like took his house for 2 days, and we were shooting the scenes for Facão, Machete. And yeah, it wasn't that hard. It wasn't that hard. It was easy to get.
I'm glad. It can vary.
Yes, yes.
If I could,
Yes, Zanah?
just one more thing. A trick that I always tell producers when getting locations, location insurance can allow you to film in a lot of places for free. A lot of location owners just want to know that if you break something, that you can cover it. And an annual location insurance policy, my policy is only $250 a year. And that's allowed me to film in hospitals, in museum spaces, in whatever, because they're like, okay, you have a policy that says if there's any equipment damage or whatever, you can go in there for free. And a lot of times that's all it is. They won't ask for any location fees or anything. They just want to see that you have insurance. So if you have a small budget for a film, I would dedicate that to production insurance, because that can help you get into a lot of places.
But one thing, we filmed in Brazil. In Brazil, it's more about trusting your word than having a policy, you know. It's like you looking the person in the eye and say, can I film here? I have this here. We're going to really take care of your house. We're not going to like break anything. And your word worth more than any document you have. And you just have to make sure and be careful to not to break anything, because that's awful. You know, being somebody's house, taking somebody's house and breaking stuff. It's going to like kind of put in a bad position for long. Like you're not gonna have you're not gonna have that trust anymore. Like people are not gonna trust because you broke, because you messy. You know, it's just about word and be careful.
All right, we're on to our next question. So, what's next for all of you filmmakers? Please tell us. Eric, why don't we start with you, and then we can just go along the way.
Sure. We're in pre-production for another short film. The subject matter is female loss, and actually we're filming next weekend. So that's our next immediate project. And then we're going to try the science fiction genre. And then we have a WTF short that we want to do, and then we're moving on to a feature presentation.
Wow. Lined up, booked and busy. Charmaine, what about you? I know you are also booked and busy bee.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I love to be involved in film any way possible. But my main one from the production side of things or development side of things is there's a feature that I'm in the process of developing, and you know, it might take a little while, but yeah, that's the next project.
Okay, wow, feature.
Yeah.
You go. Aaliyah, what about you? What are you working on next?
Definitely. Okay, there goes my sound. I also do theater as well. So right now I am working on several plays. So hopefully those will be next.
Ooh, we love a double disciplined person. Awesome. Anna, what about you? What's next? Oh, I think don't worry, you can put it in. We'll go. Zanah, why don't you let us know what's next while Anna's getting her stuff together?
Sure. I am in pre-production for my next short film. It's my first comedy. It's called The Love You Want Exists. It's about a Black couple that is trying to plan a wedding ceremony completely free of patriarchal traditions. Ooh. And it's like Dear White People meets The Office. It's really about the family's reactions to things and their friends' reactions to things. And it's hilarious. The cast that I have is phenomenal. We're filming it in Atlanta in February. But yeah, that one's going to be funny. Honestly, we can't get through the script without like just crying, laughing. So it's gonna be a good time on set.
That is, and I missed it. Is it a short or is it a feature?
It's a short.
Okay, I can't wait to see it. I hope to see it. Aisha, what's happening with you next?
I'm currently in development, hopefully soon, you know, once COVID's over, for a short film called Hajia. I'm still applying for grants and trying to get that going, as well as I'm really like itching to shoot a music video. So I'm working on some treatments for that, and hopefully I can do that as well. And also, of course, surviving COVID.
That part.
Yes.
Anna, what about you? What's happening next for your film work? And Anna, I think you're on mute, so try and unmuting.
There
you go.
I am also working on a music video that's kind of on the same like magic realism, Latin escapism, not Latin, Latinx. So it's like just get rid of all the Latins. but I like Latinx magic realism universe that I'm developing with Divina Gracia, and now this music video for my friend Angelica, and kind of developing a zine with Pia, who played Oshun in the short film, who is also kind of in this universe called Sacred Puta. And it's just, we're doing zines, we're just kind of developing this world and doing it through different mediums. So I'm just expanding on that and finishing posts for my last short film, which is a skateboarding diaspora Puerto Rican short called See You Later. So I'm still, I'm doing those things.
We love our skateboarding films here.
Yeah.
Yes. So
I
by all
know.
means,
I
share.
love Amber.
share your films. I hope to see everyone's films because I'm, we love to showcase. Obviously, you're a part of our alumni now, so it's going to be great. I'm just getting final word. I think we are at 12:30, and so Camila, yes.
So I'm working on some screenplays that I've been writing. So I just finished my first feature film, and it's written in English. And I don't know if this one I'm gonna just sell it or I'm gonna direct it. I don't know, but I really don't. I like to direct all the movies I write. So I'm still thinking. Machete is gonna be a feature film. We just decided. Everybody been asking
So
for
exciting.
more, and they were like, "Oh, I want more! Like you make me want to see more." And it's a short film; it's over, so I want more. So everybody was saying that while they were watching, and I said, "Oh, well, finally I have to write the short film, the feature film." And now I'm gonna start writing this week. I'm gonna start writing Machete, the feature film, and also I'm writing another one. It's another feature film. And I have a short film that's written already. I was writing while I was before the pre-production of Facão Machete, and I stopped it because I need to shoot this film. And I said I need to focus, so I focused to Machete, and I stopped this one. And I came back later after shooting and finished the short film. It's a really great one. I love it, and I'm willing to shoot that, but I don't know when. But it's done already, and yeah, I'm very excited. I'm working a lot of screenplays, and willing to shoot them soon.
I'm very excited for it, Camila, and I apologize. I missed you.
No, it's fine.
We are in our final moments, so I actually would love for everybody to kind of say where folks can find your work, perhaps a website or a social handle. Camila, I will actually start with you, and we can go from there.
Okay, my company has a website. You can find some of the, what comes next. Yeah, I was posting there, everything about my work, what I'm writing, what I'm working on. You can see some of the festival we went to because we have the films in there. Not to watch it, unfortunately, but you can see some teasers and read about the work. And my Instagram probably would be like the most easy way to get to my website because it's a very long one. So you just go to Camila Hepplin. Hepplin is Hepplin, and then you can go to my bio and click the link in there, so you can be directed to my website. And you can find me anywhere with Camila Hepplin, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever. You can see the other works I did too, feature films that I worked before. That is not for my company, but I worked before. Everything that I've done, you can find there as well.
Perfect. Aaliyah, where can people find you? I think you're on mute.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, you can find my stuff on Instagram on Teixeira. Taysayra. I spelled out how my last name sounds like. And I do have a website. I do also take photos, so my website has kind of like
my universe building through photos and through video. And you can find teasers of the short film also on my website. But I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and yeah, mostly on Instagram though. So definitely check that page out.
Perfect. Thank you, Anna. Aaliyah?
Mostly posting about everything on Instagram right now. It's _ALIYAAH_ and updating my website. So that'll be up soon.
We love updating the website. Aisha, what about you?
I currently made a work Instagram finally, so you can find my work at it's Aisha Jama, AISHAJAMA, and hopefully I'll be creating a website soon.
Zanah?
Everything's on my website, ZanahThirus.com. Just first name, last name, ZanahThirus.com. That's got where my films are streaming, bio, festival information, and podcast info. Literally everything's there.
Charmaine?
Probably best to follow me on Instagram, which is just at Charmaine Bingwa, and I'm sure your little thing, there you go, for spelling.
Perfect. Eric?
I love that. I should have done that as well.
Eric?
Oh, sorry. Baltimore Filmmakers Collective. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, all the usual social media. And mine's I Cinema is my for-profit production.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And you can follow the film festival at BFS Film Fest on Facebook. Oh, not on Facebook, on Twitter and on Instagram, and Black Femme Supremacy Film Festival on Facebook. You folks can follow me at Sister Samah on Twitter. I only use Twitter, and my website is samah.space, spelt like that. I feel like a YouTuber, y'all. Speaking of YouTube, this session is going to be available on YouTube for you to watch after the fact. And the festival, even though we are going to be having programming for the next 2 days, today and tomorrow, you can watch all of the films up until Monday. And so if you don't have tickets, please get your tickets ASAP Rocky. You can also get tickets to the Black Femme Supremacy Film Festival, Festival Pass, the Defining Femme block, and any other blocks coming up. I appreciate all of you folks coming here today. We have a film award. Please vote, 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 and have an excellent day. Thank you all the filmmakers for coming today.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thanks, Black Femme.
Bye.
Bye.